So alright guys, so in this video we are going through few questions that are related to Azure AI Engineering Associate AI 102 examination. So these questions are specifically related to some OpenAI and building chatbots, right? So there are few questions, so you can see these questions in some in other form in the examination. So let's start. So first question is, let's suppose you have Azure subscription, right? And again, right, in every question in Azure this certification, the few starting requirement would be same for most of the question, right? So again, you have a subscription, right? You need to build an app that will compare the document for semantic similarity. The solution meets the following requirement. Now coming to this term which is important, semantic similarity. So semantic similarity is like how two terms are related to each other, right? So let's suppose if I am talking about some game like football and basketball, so they are games, so somehow they are semantic, right? So they are similar to each other, right? And again, if I will talk about fruits, let's suppose apple and mango, right? So they are semantic similar to each other. But if I will compare this fruit with some game, they are not semantically similar, right? So now the return a numeric vector that represent the token of each document, right? And minimize the development effort. So in OpenAI we have one thing that is called embeddings. So embedding, it is not specifically to OpenAI, it is just a machine learning term, right? So where you can pass any input to a model and it will return you the embeddings, right, in a 3D space vector. So in 3D space vector, let's suppose I have two items. If they are close to each other, we will say it's semantic similar, right? So the correct answer I already explained is embedding. So what embedding is does, you pass something to it and it will create a response in 3D vector form, and you can see by visually you can see, right, if they are close to each other then they are semantic similar. The example is same, right? If there are two games, they are semantic similar. If there are two foods, they are semantic similar. But if I will compare game with a fruit, they will be far from each other in the this 3D space, so they are not semantic similar, right? Now the next question, in Azure AI Studio, you are prototyping a chatbot by Chat Playground. So we have a Chat Playground, right, in Azure AI Studio, and you need to you are prototyping a chatbot, right? So you need to configure a chatbot to meet the following requirements. So this is very important question that can come in the examination in some or other form, right? So one is reduce the repetition of words in conversation. So let's suppose in the chat I ask the bot, right, how are you doing today, right? Give me in some 50 words, right? So if they are repeating the words in the conversation or in the next conversation, right, we need to reduce it, right? And reduce the randomness of each response, and also reduce the randomness. So the just by heart it, temperature is the thing, right, which will be used for it, right? And for this one, this reducing the randomness of each response, you will use the frequency penalty, right? So you need to adjust the value. So you will adjust the value of temperature to something, right? Then you will see the response, then again you will change it, then you will see the response. This way you will control the randomness and also the frequency, right? So the correct answer is here is temperature and frequency penalty, right? Now the next question is, you are developing a chatbot, you create the following components, right? So now again we are developing a chatbot. In the previous question also we were developing a chatbot where we need to cover the randomness. Here also we are developing a chatbot. There are two components we already have. That is, one is a Q&A maker resource. So chatbot you can create with multiple ways, right? So one is a Q&A maker resource. Let's suppose I have some set of question and answer. I will pass that as a Q&A maker resource, and I can chat with a chatbot, right? And other is a chatbot by using a Azure bot framework SDK. So with a SDK also we can create it, right? So these two components we already have. Okay. Now you need to add an additional component to meet the technical requirement and the chatbot requirement. So you need to add an additional component. So there are multiple components we can add. So every time we are getting a chatbot, so orchestra is the this manage the workflow, right? For orchestra is the right answer, which is used for managing the workflow, right? Other than this Q&A maker, resource and bot, the third thing is a orchestra, right? So which will be which will manage the end to end this thing, right? This. Now the next question is, you have Azure subscription, again the same thing, right? And we have a resource A1, right? You need to build a chatbot. Again, this in the same question, in this question also we are getting a chatbot, right? So to provide a generative answer to the specific question, again you are asking something to chatbot and it will generate the answer. So you need to ensure the responses are more creative and less deterministic, right? Again, we need to, when we need to create randomness or with creativeness of a response of a chatbot in Azure, you know it, right? What we need to do. So we have some set of code. I will explain you. So first we have a class, this called, and we have created like a one if we have initialized this class, right? And we are passing these messages. So again, in the, if you will see, you need to generate answer to a specific question. So somehow we are doing we need to pass a role. So role would be assistant. So assistant is the something where you ask your assistant something and they will reply you, right? So the correct answer here is this assistant. And again, you know, right, when we need to deal with a creativity, randomness, then we have a temperature, right? So correct answer is this. So most of the question is kind of a common sense type of question, right? Because you can see here is a function also, system also, user also, and assistants also, and they have already asked you, you need to create some kind of a question answer thing. So you will create a assistant. Now moving to the next thing, right? Again, the same thing is, you have Azure subscription that contains an Azure OpenAI resource name A1, right? And you plan to develop a console app that will answer to the user question. So again, you need to create an app, right? Console app, right? Where you will ask something in console and you will get the answer, right? You need to call A1 and output the results. So again, if I will ask you to solve this using common sense, just right? Here you are creating a client, right? Here we have a class, this OpenAI client. You have pass this keys and all everything. Now what we are doing is, we are passing something and we are getting back something, right? So it's not embedding, it's not image, because embeddings, you know, right? Embedding is simply passing text and converting into the numeric forms, right? But get completion. So completion is when you ask something and you ask the bot to complete it, right? So completion. And again, now when, okay, so there is one more important thing. Whenever you will pass something, you will get a multiple responses, right? You will get multiple responses. So multiple responses we have, that will be inside the choices. We will have this key value pair with multiple values, that is choices. You need to pass the first one and get the text. So correct answer is get completion. Why? Because embedding is not there, image we are not playing with, so get completion is the right. And completion is also, you pass something and get something, right? Now the next thing is, if console.write, it will print something and these are the values. As you get the multiple responses, you need to print the first one, right? Now moving to the next question, you need to create a new resource, right? That will generate the frictionless stories in the response to the user prompt. So that is the same thing. We have something, we are asking something and we are looking for the answer, right? And the solution must, this is important here, resource, this ensure that resource uses a consumer managed key to protect data, right? So here we are something asking about protecting the data. Now we will again use common sense and we will try to solve it, right? Now the answer is, this is called AZ cognitive service account, create something. We are creating a resource here, right? And kind, what would be the kind? As we know, like we can use OpenAI here to create a frictionless stories, generative AI kind of thing, right? So we will use OpenAI, right? We will use OpenAI. And again, if I will come here, this is will be something related to managing the customer key, right? So encryption. So correct answer would be encryption and OpenAI. Now moving to the next question, again you need to generate the response, right? So the idea of creating this video is putting all the questions that are related to OpenAI and chatbot in a one video, right? So that they can be, we can relate to like every question with each other, right? So you have to upload company data using the chat playground. So we have multiple ways of how we can create a chatbot. So one is we can programmatically create it, or we can just upload it from the portal itself, right? The solution must ensure that chatbot uses the data to answer user questions, right? So we have uploaded the data and we want to ensure that the chatbot uses the data, whichever data we are passing, to answer the user question. So you should complete the code. Now again, it's a very simple thing, right? Just see it, right? Just see it. So again, what we are doing is we are doing a chat completion option. Why we are doing chat completion option? Because we are asking some question and it will give us a reply, right, which is a completion in terms of this bot, right? And again, we need to pass this. We have to remember is, so whenever we are doing this thing, right, whenever we are doing chat thing and we need to pass the extension, so we need to pass this Azure Cognitive Search Chat extension. Why so? Because we have uploaded some data, so our chatbot will search in that data and give us a reply, right? It will search in the data, it will index the data. So how it works is, right, you uploaded the data, Azure will internally index the data, right? And when we ask the question, it will search in the data and give us a reply, right? So that is the extension we need to use, Azure Cognitive Search Chat extension configuration, right? So that is all about this video. Thank you so much.